Welcome to the Avail podcast, where we dig deep and talk about the art of leadership. My name is Virgil Sierra, and today we're tuning into a replay of our live call with Dave Martin about his book, Mindset Matters. Change your mind, change your world. We'll learn about Dr. Dave's inspiration for the book and delve into some of the applicable concepts and principles within. So, without further ado, let's get started. Dr. Dave Martin, you are the man of the hour. We are so happy you're here. How's it feel to be on an Avail live call?
I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm with you. This is going to be amazing. We're going to have a great day today, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be on the call.
It's going to be good. Hey, so Dr. Dave, I just got to say this to you. There are Christian leaders out there in our Avail world, in our Avail family, who love to get equipped. They love to be challenged. And every month we get together to talk about the book of the month. Your book is this month's book, which is Mindset Matters. Change your mind, change your world. Before you unpack, I want you to just kind of unpack it for us and kind of share your heart about it. But before that, for anybody who's maybe connecting and says, hey, I've heard about Dave Martin, but I'm not sure. Can you tell us just maybe the quick 2-minute summary? Who is Dave Martin? Where are you at and where are you up to?
Yeah, well, I'm a success coach. I'm now a pastor, but I grew up in a small town in Mississippi. Lived in Mississippi most of my life, then went to Florida, and as God's opened up doors around the world, now we are in Detroit, Michigan.
Wow. So
I think God must have got upset with me about something and sent me from Florida to Detroit. But we planted a church there, and it's been phenomenal. But that's a short snippet of me. About 50% of what I do is in the corporate arena. About 50% is the church arena. Been on tour with the guys from Shark Tank, Tony Robbins, those guys on a tour called Get Motivated. And what's amazing, what you mentioned just earlier about principles, you get to go to these secular environments. I was talking to Damon John, one of the guys from Shark Tank, and he was talking about goals and writing down your goals. When you write down your goals, you dramatically increase the likelihood of accomplishing them. I said, that's in the Bible. He said, that's not in the Bible. So I'm telling you, every principle, you mentioned principles, every principle for success is in the Bible, and the principles work. If you're in South Brazil, thank you for joining us. Obrigado, right? If you are in Indonesia, wherever you're at in the world, these principles work. There's a big difference between the person of Jesus and the principles of Jesus. The person of Jesus prepares you for heaven. The principles of Jesus prepare you for earth.
Good.
And there's ungodly people who use godly principles and achieve ungodly results, while a lot of times the church, that's why I'm so grateful for Avail and so grateful for you, Pastor Virgil, taking the time, putting these together so that we can teach the principles. The person of Jesus creates your peace. The principles of Jesus create your prosperity, which is causing you to do well in life and in leadership. And so we're going to talk about some principles today. And I know we're going to be talking about the new book, which is why I wrote the book. Growing up in a small town in Mississippi, I left Mississippi long before Mississippi left me. Yeah, I left a little small town, but the small mindset stayed for a long time. And it was something I had to continually work on. And I found out how important it is, that it really does matter in your leadership, in your life, and your success. And so I'm excited to talk about it today.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great conversation. And let me just say, Dr. Dave, thank you for putting these books out, because they really challenge us as leaders. I know there's leaders, there's pastors, ministry leaders, there's marketplace leaders that connect, and that, even the replay when this gets out, we're really excited about this. I would love for you to just unpack it. The book looks great, by the way. Mindset Matters. Everybody, a little bit later on, I'm going to let everybody know how you can get this book if you don't have it, and how you can get a really great offer from Avail. So Dr. Dave, here's what I want to do. I want you to unpack it for us. Just teach us from your heart a little bit from this book. And then after that, we'll get into a little bit of Q. I have some questions. And then if anybody that's on this live call webinar, that's one of the cool things about being live. You can use the Q&A tab and put your questions in there. If we can get to your question, we'll try to. And we'll have a little bit of back and forth. Mindset Matters. Change your mind. Change your world.
Yeah, success and leadership in life is kind of like flipping a coin, right? Heads you win, tails you lose, right? Use your head, use your mind, and you'll go a lot further in life. And here's what I say with everyone, people, how did you accomplish this? Or how did you get there? I'm like, listen, if I can do it, you can do it. Really, that's it. If I can do it, you can do it. And it began with a change in the way I looked at things. I wrote down a couple of things I wanted to share. If you think about it, there's really nothing special about me. Yes, I'm probably a little more handsome than the average guy, but I have less hair. So see, it all equals out. There's nothing special about me. But I mean, if you want to be, maybe you want to be wealthy, maybe you want to be more successful. I know we got a lot of leadership, a lot of pastors on here and church leaders. I grew up in church. My dad's a pastor. My grandfather's a pastor. My great grandfather. I grew up in church. I grew up in small churches, kind of out in the country. And over the time, I learned a lot of what keeps small churches small is our thinking. Starting a church in Detroit, I said, if we don't act like we run 1,000 now, we'll never run 1,000. You act like you run 100, you normally rise up to about the level of your thinking. And so if we can change our thinking, we can change our world. And so I want to help people develop their mindset. I'm kind of a mindset coach. I did a whole 10-hour, and we have a success circle, which is our monthly coaching program right now. We're talking about the mindset of wealthy people, how wealthy people think different than poor people. And it's the same thing. Successful people think different than unsuccessful people. It begins in the mind. It begins in our thinking. What does the Bible say? As a person thinketh, so are they, right? Well, I never could see myself building a church like that. Well, you'll never build a church like that. I never could see myself having a house like that. Well, you'll never have a house like that, because whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right. It starts up here in our thinking. And I know a lot of times, I know we've got all kind of different denominations and leaders of different backgrounds here. But in the Pentecostal charismatic movement I grew up in, a lot of times we thought that scripture said, be transformed by the removal of your mind. And because we ran, shouted, fall down, and we'd fall down unsuccessful and get up unsuccessful, nothing changed. And until my thinking began to change. It doesn't say a removal of your mind. It says the renewal of your mind. It's a change in the way you think. It's a change in the way that you look at things. And so whatever goals you have for your life, for your family, for your business, it all begins in the mind. And it doesn't mean that there's this quick fix solution that's just going to happen overnight. I can tell you in hitting different levels of success and the things that I wanted to do and the things that I wanted to accomplish, it really began to go back to the way I looked at things, the way that I thought about things. Experience teaches us two things. You ever know, Virgil, you and I can look at the same person and see him completely different. Mm-hmm. You think one thing about him, I think a different thing, right? A girl brings her boyfriend home to meet her parents. She's so excited that she's like, this is him. And they look at him. He's got crazy hair, piercings, tattoos all over. The mom says, ooh, honey, come here for a minute. He does not look like a very nice young man. That's the way the mom sees it. The daughter says, he's a great kid. My goodness, he's given 200 hours of community service right now. Mm. It's all in how you look at it, right? And so we can look at the same thing and see something different. Men and women, Christmas time, my wife is out shopping. She's seeing the perfect gift for this person, the perfect gift for that person. She's so excited. I can't wait. Make sure this person's covered. I'm seeing the credit card bill. Right? Same thing. We just look at it from two different directions. All of us view life through a prism of our own circumstances, of what we've dealt with, what we've been through. All of us view life through a particular paradigm. For better or for worse, our view of things is really shaped by the mindset that we bring to each opportunity that life presents us, of what we've been through, what we've covered in the past. Like I said, I grew up a poor kid from Mississippi, and we thought you're supposed to be poor because poor people go to heaven. Mm-hmm. And that was our mindset. We did everything we could to stay broke. I remember driving to church in the back of the car, sweating to death because we didn't have any air conditioning. Well, we had air conditioning, but it was broke, and we couldn't afford to get it fixed. But my dad made us leave the windows rolled up because he didn't want anyone to know we didn't have air conditioning. We were poor, but we were proud. And we had to drive through this one neighborhood of really nice houses. And I remember looking out and people out by the swimming pool, drinking lemonade, just enjoying themselves. And my dad would look at me and my brother said, "Boys, you see those folks?" I said, "Yes, yes, sir." He said, "Those folks are miserable." I looked at my brother, I said, "Man, I wish we were miserable." That looked nice, but our mindset, that's where our mindset was. Our view of things was tuned in by how we grew up or what we thought. Our view of people is shaped by what we've been taught about people and what our past experiences have been with certain people. Our view of God is even shaped by what we've been taught about God and our past spiritual experiences. Our view of politics or art or religion or every facet of life is shaped by what we've seen, what we've heard, what we've encountered, what's been put into this incredible thing called our mind. And to great extent, perception becomes reality. I heard my whole life, money's the root of all evil. Money's the root of all evil. Well, of course, we know that's not even what it says. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. Later, I found out money is not the root of all evil. Money is the root of good vacations. Money, the love of money is the root of all evil. But we thought, man, well, if God wanted you to have money, he'd just give it to you. Or if you saw someone that was doing really well, they must be doing something illegal. They couldn't be loving God, serving God, and God blessed them so they could be a blessing. So we heard these things, that all of our concepts and mindsets are developed by what we've seen and heard. So our mindset is so much more important than we could ever dream or imagine. And so when I look at that in leadership, how I handle situations, how I deal with situations, how I see things, the goals I set, all go back to the level of my thinking. When what we come to think about people or things determines the way that we see those things. And we see life, how we see life determines our interaction with thousands of experiences and opportunities that life puts before us. So your thinking shapes your life. But the man or the woman, the person who can recognize the way his mind shapes him and can bring that bring their own mind under the discipline, they can begin to change the way they see things. We would probably all, well, real quick, if you're listening right now, real quick, how many would say at some point in your life you've limited yourself by your own thinking? Your own thinking has limited you. Yeah. Let me see real quick. Let me see if you're listening. Because thinking without a doubt is one of the biggest roadblocks to greatness in leadership and success. In fact, no human being can really change the direction of their life until they first change the way they see things or the way they look at things. So when you change the way you look at things, the things that you're looking at will change, right? A mentor of mine was a guy named Wayne Dyer, and wrote a lot on mindset and the way you think about things. I got to spend a day with him at his house in Maui. And just really, he was one of the people that challenged my thinking in so many different areas, caused me to look at things different. At some point in your life, like I said earlier, you probably heard that quote, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. Well, I never could build a big church like Joel Osteen. Well, you're right, you can't. But if you think, shoot, I could build a big church like Joel Osteen, pretty soon you start smiling and blinking and start talking like, hey, man, this is Joel. I could do it. I can do it. No. Change the way you think. Change the way you look at things. I remember when I started golfing years ago, I'd go out there and I'd just imagine myself as Tiger Woods. And I tell you what, when I'd picture myself swinging like him, all of a sudden my hits would be better. My drives would be stronger. I'm like, and all I'm doing was picturing myself. They did a study with the basketball team from Stanford University. They took half the team and had them practice shooting free throws every hour, or had them shoot free throws every day for 1 hour. The other half of the team, they had them lay on the bench and imagine themselves shooting free throws for an hour. They did this for a month. At the end of the month, the team that shot was actually shooting the free throws for an hour, actually doing it every day, increased by their percentages by 23, 24%, I think it was. The team that imagined it, just sat there and imagined it, it increased by 21%. Only a 3 or 4% difference in the ones that actually did it and the ones that just imagined themselves through the motion of doing it. Since then, I quit working out. It's close enough. I just imagine going to the gym. I just imagine what that be like. But the person who thinks positively about himself will, over the course of a lifetime, do much greater things. See, how you see yourself is so important. Now, but again, your mindset. I can see myself the way other people see me. May be good, may not be good. I learned a long time ago what other people think about you is really none of your business, right? Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So quit going through life worrying about what everyone else thinks about you all the time. The second way to see yourself, of course, is how you see yourself, which is self-confidence. And we all want to have a good self-esteem, right? But I mean, things happen. People say things. I love Dr. Sam Chan's book, Leadership Pain, right? People say things to you, do things to you. The level of leadership you can rise to is according to how much pain that you can handle and take along the way. But so I can think of things people said to me that did to me that affected my self-esteem. I mean, one time in high school, a girl broke up with me. She said, I'm breaking up with you. You got low self-esteem. I said, great. That really helped. Thanks. Another time in high school, this girl called me. She said, come over to my house. Nobody's home. I went over to her house. Nobody was home. I just was sad. I just kept knocking. That hurts your feelings, right? And so I don't want to live my life how other people see me. I don't want to have the mindset of even how I see me. The benefit we have as Christ followers, as believers, is we can begin to see ourselves how God sees us. See, I kind of picture in heaven, God's got pictures of you, and the pictures he has of you, God has some mad Photoshop skills. He's already touched you up a little bit. He's removed all the wrinkles of weakness. He's taken out all the blemishes of failure. The picture God has of you is a picture of perfect success. So if we can learn to live into the picture, I was doing some coaching with a guy named Lou Ferrigno. Some of you might remember Lou Ferrigno. He was the original Incredible Hulk. Yeah. But he was born deaf. And he remembers about the age of 9 years old, his dad telling him, you'll never make anything of yourself. And I'm telling you this so that you, I'm not just trying to drop names like I know Lou Ferrigno. There's a purpose to this. I'm not a name dropper. If anything I've learned from spending time with Oprah, it's that you shouldn't drop names. Kidding. He said at 9 years old, he said his dad began to tell him, you're worthless. You're no good. You can't even talk right. You're deaf. And he got this picture of himself the way his dad saw him. He said somewhere in his mid-teens, he said, really, I can't tell you who gave it to me, who helped me understand this. But I remember, he said, getting a picture of myself the way God saw me, not the way people saw me. And he said, what happens is most of us take the picture God has of us and we lower it down to how we see ourselves. He said, I began to live into the picture God had of me. See, if we begin to live into the picture that's already been touched up a little bit, that one, if we begin to live into that picture, you know, on the magazines, they all look perfect because they've been airbrushed, that picture that God has of you. And you lived into that picture. Think where you could be. Well, he went on to be a Mr. Olympia, went on to have an acting career as the Incredible Hulk. And now he's a motivational speaker and going out and talking and sharing his story with others. So how you see yourself is important. And the person who thinks of themselves negatively. And this is another reason I wrote the book is because I had to deal with those kind of low self-esteem, negative. Listen, I was born a pessimist. So I have to work at this even my blood type is B negative, right? So I gotta work at this stuff all the time. Yet it's a natural tendency sometimes of the human soul to start out with a posture of negativity, of finding what's wrong. I mean, pastors, you hear it all the time. Pastors talk about Monday is the day they all want to quit the ministry, right? After you're dealing with all the negative of a Sunday, maybe, or who didn't come. I remember sitting, my dad always pastored a small church. And I remember we'd be after church Sunday afternoon. Well, if so-and-so would have been there. And in that family, there were 6 of them. And so, man, we could have broke 100 today. And we start thinking of ourselves in a small mindset. And so you gotta change the way you see things. So, all of us have family members and friends and that bring negativity and discouragement to us. So the only real difference between people who build great churches, build great businesses or whatever, and the people who don't, it's not opportunity. It's not talent. I believe it's opposing belief systems. They have different belief systems. And a lot of times that's the problem. You just got to deal. I say it all the time, you just got to deal with your BS, right? Your belief systems. This is a Christian podcast here. So your belief system, those belief systems that relate to our abilities, the belief systems that relate to our possibilities. What kind of business do you think you can build? What kind of family do you think that you could have? And so while the pastor that built the big church, he saw that church as something that was attainable, that he was able to do, and the other person saw that that's beyond my reach. I could never build a business like that. I could never build a church like that. Throughout history, people who have attained great success are people who have been undergirded by a strong, unshakable belief. See, we have the ability as believers to not just have confidence, but a friend of mine calls it Godfidence, right? Not just knowing who I am, but knowing whose I am, and knowing that that I have can tap into, see, God's ways are higher than my ways. If I could tap into God's way of thinking, wouldn't that be it? Think how you could lead. Think how you could walk through situations if you could tap into the way God thinks. We have that ability through his word to find these principles of success. And so much of that is just dealing with it. And it's dealing with it on a daily basis. I'm continually, daily renewing my mind, changing the way I think about things, and seeing myself uniquely qualified with the gifts and talents to be able to seize opportunities and extract from those opportunities every drop of wisdom that I can afford to get. And that's what changes. That's what changes the way you think. And so God puts mentors in your life to help you. I'm so glad I've had some mentors. They've been my shortcut. They say there's no shortcut to success. A good mentor is your shortcut to success, right? I mean, Pastor Virgil's he's been pastoring longer than me. I could learn something from him that I don't know. I'm like, hey, if I could learn it I would much rather learn from his mistakes than my mistakes. I remember years ago when I met Dr. Sam Chan, we were on an airplane, didn't know each other. This was over 2 decades ago. Sat down next to each other on an airplane and had an incredible conversation for a couple of hours. And, but man, he challenged me in some things, the way I think or the way I look at things. And you got to have that in your life. You can get somewhere a lot quicker. I can call a mentor and go, hey, if I can learn from your mistakes, I don't have to make the same mistakes. So what I called one of my mentors and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this at the church. What do you think? He said, I wouldn't do that if I was you. I said, why not? I said, I think it's a great idea. He said, yeah. He said, so did I. So he'd already done it. He found out it didn't work. Man, he just saved me 3 months of work, probably $40,000 of investment, because he'd already done what I was planning to do. That's why you investing the time, that's where wisdom comes in. You investing the time in yourself right now, you investing the time every time one of these Avail webinars is on, to stop. Hey, I got to be on that. I don't care what the subject is. You can learn something. I don't try to learn everything from one person. I try to learn something from everybody. Yeah. And all you need is just one key, right? Doesn't take a lot of keys to start your car. It just takes the right key. So today you may just get one key, but you're like, that's the one key I needed. Now, I'm hoping you'll leave with the key ring, a whole bunch of keys, but there'll be something you'll say, that's the one I need to get me from where I am. Because the difference between where you are and where you want to be is just what you know. So that's why the Bible says, hey, whatever you do, get wisdom. So I applaud you. Just the fact that you're on here means you have the mindset to learn, to grow. The Proverbs 1 verse 5 said a wise person will increase in learning. So we already know how smart you are just because you took time to jump on here with us today to talk about this subject of our mindset and our thinking. And like I said, it's something that I work on, Pastor Virgil, all the time, because it's a continual renewal. It's real easy for me to go negative. It's real easy for me to start thinking small again, and not to use my faith, and not to believe for bigger, or to see that there's something greater on the other side. And so there's little things I've always done. I learned way back, before I could afford to go to Ruth's Chris for dinner, I could afford to go for dessert. And so I would go to Taco Bell for dinner, and then I'd just go to Ruth's Chris, take my wife just for dessert. But it was something about the environment, the music that was played, the conversations that you would hear, totally different at Ruth's Chris than it is at Taco Bell, right? It's totally different staying at the Ritz-Carlton than it is staying at the Holiday Inn. Everything's different. The decor is different. The colors are different. The minds, everything is changing the way you look at things. And so you got to start sometimes with those small natural things to keep you thinking big. My son was so funny, and I've just worked on his mindset. Now I'm a little scared because his mindset is so huge. Like he's 14, he's 15. He loves Zillow. He loves getting on the Zillow app and looking at houses. He loves homes and houses. But because I've really helped him understand not just to think outside the box. Really, there is no box, right? I mean, when we were young, remember we used to color. When you were 2 years old, you could take a picture, one crayon, just a red crayon, just color all over it, right? Take it to your parents, and they're like, "Look at you, you're an artist. How beautiful is that?" Now, if you were 12 years old and you walked up with one crayon and you walked up and just with scribbled off, your parents were like, "We need to take you to the doctor. What is wrong with you, kid? Color inside the lines." And all of a sudden we start coloring inside the lines, stay inside the box. We sleep in a box. We live in a box. We eat breakfast out of a box, everything. And I'm like, there is no box. So my son, when he sets the parameters, the filters, I'm like, "Son, you can't afford a $20 million house." But he sets the parameters. He goes, "Hey, I want to look at them at least." And so I just encourage pastors, leaders, leaders in your home, whatever you're at. If you can change the way you look at things, whether it's in a marriage, whether it's in your business, or whether it's looking at your staff or your team, change the way you look at things. The things that you're looking at will begin to change. That's how important your mindset is. The Bible talks a lot about our thinking. If we can change our thinking, we can change our lives. So I know we got some questions and some things that I could just keep talking and talking. But Pastor Virgil, what do you got?
Well, first of all, let me just mention, because I know some people might have jumped on this live call. This is a live call. It's also streaming to Facebook as well. We're talking about the new book by Dr. Dave Martin, Mindset Matters. Here it is. It's hardcover, beautiful book. Change your mind, change your world. And you've really challenged us in the way we think. I have a couple questions. I also want to let everybody know, everybody who's on this live call webinar on Zoom, you can use the Q&A tab on the bottom of your Zoom window, and you could type your questions for Dr. Dave. Dave, here's the first question. Obviously you're talking a lot about the impact that our mindset has on everything, right? Can you maybe share a little bit how our mindset can positively or negatively affect work, ministry, or even leadership? A lot of leaders out there today.
Yeah, one simple kind of funny thing. These twins. This guy had twins, exact identical twins. Couldn't tell them apart. But they were totally opposite in everything else, right? I mean, if one was hot, the other one was cold. If the TV is too loud, the other one thought it was too quiet. One was an optimist, and one was a pessimist. So their birthday came up, and so the dad thought, let's just see what these kids are so different. Let's see how they'll respond. Now you can think about this at work, church, wherever. How do you respond when situations come up? He went into the pessimist room the morning of his birthday, filled his room up with all kinds of games and toys and gifts, just amazing stuff. Went down the hallway to the optimist room, and in his room, he just put a big pile of horse manure. He said, let's see what happens when these kids wake up. Well, the pessimist woke up and saw the gifts and toys. He said, Dad, I can't believe this. Why would you do this to me, Dad? This is horrible. All my friends are going to be jealous that I have all this stuff. And half of this stuff needs batteries, so they don't even work till I put batteries in. I don't even know how to use the other half. This is just, Dad, I can't believe you did this. Eventually, it's all going to break. And the dad's going, I can't believe this kid. He went down the hallway to the optimist room where he put the manure. As he got closer, he heard laughing and he swung the door open. Manure's flying everywhere. He said, so what in the world? He said, Dad, with this much manure, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. It's all in how you look at it. So on a job, whether if you're the employer or the employee, how do you look at each situation? Do you look at it from a positive mindset, or do you look at it from a negative mindset? Because the prism with which you look at it determines your world. A young couple moved into a new house right next door. They looked out, and the lady next door was putting her clothes out. This is back when you put your clothes out on the line to dry. And she was putting her clothes out, and the lady at the new house said to her husband, goes, my goodness, that lady, look how dingy her clothes are. I mean, she must not know how to wash clothes. And she started judging the lady by how dingy the clothes were. They weren't bright white. And they thought she just didn't know how to wash clothes. And next week, sees her out there again. Oh, it must be the kind of detergent maybe she's used. Maybe I need to go over there, maybe and teach her how to wash clothes, tell her how to do it. But the third week she got up Saturday morning, looked out there. She goes, oh, wait a minute. Finally, she's got it right. Look how bright her clothes are. Look how white her clothes are. And finally, she got it. Her husband said, honey, actually, what happened was yesterday, I washed our windows. See, the whole time, it wasn't the way the woman washed clothes. It was the way the lady inside the house saw it. And a lot of times it's how we see it. Well, they don't know how to do this, or they don't know how to do that. When it's our own lens that needs to change, the way we see things that need to change, all of a sudden, oh, well, maybe it wasn't her. I need to teach this person how to do that. I need to show them how to, when maybe you need to change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will begin to change.
Whether you're an innovator in ministry, business, or your community, Avail Plus is designed to take you to the next level. What is Avail Plus? It's an exclusive leadership resource that offers access to brand new premium resources like books, study guides, and masterclasses. It's a chance to connect with other leaders on live calls and classes. It's early access to materials no one else has held in their hands. It's the catalyst to your next season of growth as a leader. To find out more about how you can become a member of Avail Plus, head over to theartofleadership.com/Avail-Plus.
That's good. I love those examples. We're getting a few questions from some of the people who are connected right now, Dr. Dave. After this next question, we're going to do a few questions, but after the next one, I'm going to tell people how they can get this book, the new book by Dr. Dave Martin, Mindset Matters.
That's a great book.
On behalf of it is a great book. It is a great book. And we're going to tell you how you can get that after this next question. We have a few coming up as well. So Ava wrote in this question: what happens when you change your mindset and everyone around you are stagnated? She says you feel at loose ends. She says help.
Yeah. And as a leader, that happens a lot, right? I remember taking over this church in Detroit that had a certain culture, a certain mindset. Well, my mindset was totally, I've already shifted. I've already changed my mindset. But now what happens with all these other people that don't? Well, as a leader, of course, it's our job to bring them along on the journey. And so how quickly we do that, how we do that, I find it can be very frustrating, of course, as a leader, or even when you're not the leader. That's even when it's more frustrating, when you're not the leader and you don't have the ability to make the shifts as quick as you'd like in a culture or in an organization, and you're going, what do I do? What do I do? And you can try, of course, through as much influence as you can, I remember recommending books. Hey, have you ever read this one? You should read this book. And things that challenged my thinking, I would give that to those that were over me just as a gift. I can't understanding authority and all that. I can't make the changes, but I can encourage and be ready and be ready to change. But if you're the leader, bringing people along on the journey, and I find using examples a lot is what helps us. I was trying to change a Sunday morning culture from a very charismatic culture to a more visitor-friendly culture, a guest-friendly culture. And I had got it, but so I had to use, I find using illustrations was the best way. The lady over in the corner that's worshiping with her sword, and she's, going at it. I said, look, we're mature believers, right? You and I, we understand that what she's doing is she's worshiping. She's fighting strongholds. She's cutting down principalities. We got it. Now, your dental hygienist that you just invited to church that came for the very first time, that's not what she sees. What she sees is a middle-aged woman with a plastic sword from her grandkid's toy box who forgot her medicine that day, right? We understand as believers, but by changing that culture, I had to change the way people looked at things. For me, I find when I'm trying to help people change the way they look at things, to use illustrations like that to go, oh, that makes sense. I'm not saying that that's not a way to worship, and we want to be free in our worship, but in this situation, that doesn't go with our culture that we're trying to create. So that's just one simple example, but I hope that helps in whether you're the leader or whether you're under a leader where you're seeing change in you and you want to help bring change to an organization.
Yeah, that's good. In a moment, we're going to get to a question from John, who is connected with us live. But here's what I want to do right now, Dr. Dave. I want to tell people how they can get this book. This is Change Your Mind. This is Mindset Matters. Change Your Mind, Change Your World. Hot off the press. It's our Avail Book of the Month by Dr. Dave Martin. Right now, first of all, if you're having a good time in the chat, I want you to type in, this is good. If you're learning something, if you're getting challenged in your growth, type in, this is good. And here's what I want to do. Our Avail team is going to put a link in the chat right now of how you can get this book. This is Dr. Dave Martin's brand new book. It's the Avail Book of the Month, how you can get it for free. This is special. If you're not an Avail Plus member yet, you can actually get it. And not only are you going to get the book for free, you're actually going to get an Avail subscription for free for 6 months. Now you click on that link, or putting in the chat right now. Click on that link, you can get it. If you're already an Avail member, you know how good this is. You know how everything that we bring with Avail is going to be quality, is going to be excellent. Check this out. Here's the cool thing. You can share that link. You can share that link with a friend, with a leader, with a pastor, with a colleague, with your friend from work, with your friend from church, with another ministry leader. Share that link with them. We want more people to get this book in their hands. I also want to mention, I always say it's a no-brainer, but there's actually a masterclass upgrade that's available on that link, on that page. If you want it, you don't have to add it. If I were you, I would add the masterclass bundle upgrade. Why? Because it also includes the companion study guide, the workbook. So you got the hard book, the book, and then you have the workbook, which helps you kind of journal and document your process and your growth as you're going through it. And the masterclass bundle also includes the masterclass videos. You're not going to want to miss those. You're going to want to take a look at the masterclass bundle, the book, the companion study guide, and the videos. We're going to keep putting that link in the chat. Again, if you're not on Avail yet, if you're not subscribed to Avail, you can get this book for free. Get 6 months of the Avail journal for free. We'll talk about this a little bit later. Look who's on the cover of this one. Woo! And also, I want to mention, if you're already on Avail, there's going to be another link that our team's going to put on. If you're already an Avail member, where you can purchase the link through our website, theartofleadership.com. That's Avail, theartofleadership.com. Now, Dr. Dave, John typed in a question.
I can't believe they're giving that away for free.
That's what they're telling me.
I hope I still get royalties, even if they give away for free. But I want to mention that the masterclass, because I took the time to do those sessions, and they get the workbook with it, which is incredible, because you remember so much more when you write it down. Mm-hmm. And so that takes you through, you can write it down. But I went to a seminar with a guy named Peter J. Daniels. He's one of the wealthiest men in Australia. went to a seminar. He was teaching. Now, if you're not doing as well as you'd like to be doing, it just means there's something you don't know, right? I'm sure all of us would say there's some area of our life we'd like to be doing better, and maybe it's in our mindset. It just means there's something you don't know. And so if you knew more about that subject, and so this guy's teaching, he's doing better than I'm doing. So as soon as it was over, I ran back to the table and I said, I want everything this guy's got. They said, you want everything? I said, everything on this table. They said, if you buy everything on the table, it'll be $1,600 for everything he's got. And I, Pastor Birds, I thought, I didn't know he knew that much stuff. $1,600. My friend said, that's crazy. He said, do you think it's worth it? And I thought for a minute, I said, I think I'm worth it.
Wow.
See, I don't buy a book or a master class because I think, well, the paper is worth it. Is that, you think the book quality is worth it? No, I buy it because I think I'm worth it. Mm. I'm telling you, what we put together in that master class, those videos, that workbook, I think it's crazy how much Avail really, I think it's like $50, maybe less than 40 something dollars for that masterclass. Basically, they're giving you that masterclass because the value of it would be hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you wanted to sit down with me for 8 sessions and talk to you about your mindset. And for 40 something dollars, you can get the whole entire, you'd be crazy not to invest in. The Bible says wisdom is more valuable than silver, more profitable than gold. That $1,600 I invested, I got one idea. I got a lot of good principles, but I got one idea that I put to practice. The billionaire Ross Perot said, all it takes is one good idea to live like a king the rest of your life. I got one idea I put together and I sold the idea. Within about 8 months, the idea produced me a little over $300,000. So a $1,600 investment, I think, is worth a $300,000 idea. So investing in something like that, upgrading to that, then I don't get anything from it. So don't think, well, he's just telling me. No, I'm telling you, it'll be worth your investment. It'll really help you. That's why we put it together. It's not that we didn't have anything to do. Yeah. We wanted to put something together. Avail wants to see your leadership rise to another level. Sam Chan, Martine, they want to see you be the best leader you can be, Pastor Virgil. And so that's why we put these things together to help you be that. And so don't just get the free, oh, that's free. No, make a little investment in yourself and watch and see the difference it makes. I'm sorry, go ahead with the question.
No, yeah, that's a good word. That's a good word. And somebody needed to hear that today, because when we're investing in resources like this, we're investing in our growth, in our leadership. Yeah. You're worth it. I'm worth it. My team is worth it. The people that I'm helping to lead, because it'll pour out into them too. Hey, make sure you share that link right now. Get the Mindset Matters. We're giving you an offer because we want to give you an incentive to say, hey, I'm going to go for it. It's right there. If you're not on Avail, you can get it for free. If you're on Avail, you can find the resource on our website. But upgrade to the Masterclass bundle. You're going to get these great videos from Dave, who, by the way, is a great communicator on these subjects of leadership and connecting the principles. All right, so Dave, there's a question here from John that says, can you share a few examples on what are some actionable steps to take to transform your mindset? Because we're talking about really dealing with our mindset.
Yeah. One thing, of course, as a believer, we know that renewing our mind comes through the Word of God. So reading the Bible, of course, is good for your personal understanding and that kind of thing. But my phone, my iPad are full of course, now there's tons of good podcasts, but books. And I've got people in my life. I've got a mentor who's passed away now. I've actually never met him, but just his words inspire me. When I feel down, when I feel discouraged, put it in. And you got to keep renewing your mind daily. It's the most important action that I've ever taken, is to continually be renewing my mind every morning, stopping, meditate. Take a minute, think through things. Sometimes we're so quick and stop, meditate. Says if you meditate, you'll have good success, right? Meditate on the Word day and night, you have good success. And so filling my mind, I got to keep filling my mind every day. I got to fill it up again. Every day I got to fill it up again. So finding positive, faith-filled podcasts. Of course, we've got a podcast called Success Made Simple that helps do that. Anytime I'm in the car, I can listen to music. Music's good, but my goodness, I put on that Joel Osteen radio. I feel like I can conquer the world by the time I get done listening to him preach a couple of messages. And so that's I think one of the most practical thing that you can do. And then when you do find yourself getting off track, it's going back and catching yourself. You'll begin to catch yourself and stopping and going, okay, how can I look at this differently? How can I look at this situation differently? I'll get to the end of the day and I'll kind of think, I spend about 15 minutes at the end of the day just to process the day. At the end of a week, I'll spend about an hour. At the end of a month, I'll take a day. Just what did I learn today? Or this month? What did I see? And I'll go through notes I put in my phone. How could I have handled situations different? And I go back and I reevaluate and correct myself even in ways that I've responded negative to a situation I should have responded positive to, or I could see how that could be negative. I could change my concept of that or my look at that. So reflection and constant pouring back in are two things that really help me that are practical, easy things to do.
Yeah, that's good. There's two that immediately caught my eye when I first looked at the book, Dr. Dave. Chapter 2, courage, cowardice, and conformity. And then Chapter 6, the price of success. Which one of those you want to dive into? I want to hear a little bit why these titles.
Yeah, you know, there is a price for success. You got to decide if you want to pay the price. I mean, to be successful, you may say you're a business person. Yeah, I want to be a multimillionaire. I want to do, whatever. There's some prices that you're going to have to pay that some people aren't willing to pay. Some people just better have a 40-hour job, because if you're going to build an incredible business, you're going to work 80 hours a week, maybe at the beginning. And you got to decide what price are you willing to pay. And some people will find that, hey, I'm happy just where I'm at. And they're not willing to go and there's nothing wrong with, hey, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. If you're happy where you are, then be happy, be content. But if you desire more, just know that there are some prices that you'll have to pay to achieve certain levels. It doesn't just come to Bill Gates' money. I know the Bible says the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the righteous, but Bill Gates' money is not going to transfer to your account by itself, right? You're going to have to work. You have to get up and do something. You can't just sit home and pray all day for it to come into your account, right? So there's a price that you'll have to pay and be willing to pay in order to achieve great things.
Yeah.
And the other one, on courage, I wrote a book called 12 Traits of the Greats. And one of the 12 traits I put in there is the trait of courage. And I put it in there because it's a little different than a lot of the other traits, mindset, passion, those things. But I think to achieve anything great, you're going to have to take some risk. So you have to have the courage to do something that hasn't been done before, to change something that hasn't been changed in a long time. Maybe at your church, there's some things that need to change that it's always been like this. And to get to the next place, to build for generations to come, you have to make some of those changes. And it takes courage. Leadership takes courage. I heard about the captain of a ship. Young man came to the captain. He said, Captain, there are 5 enemy ships on the horizon. Captain said, young man, he said, bring me my red coat. They brought the captain his red coat, and he put on the red coat, and they started fighting. And they fought until they destroyed all 5 of the enemy ships. And the young man said, Captain, can I ask you a question? He said, why did you ask for your red coat? He said, young man, the red coat was in case during the battle I was shot, or if I was stabbed and I began to bleed, the men wouldn't notice me bleeding, and they would continue to fight with courage. The young man said, Captain, he said, that you're the courageous one. I mean, you wouldn't even worry about yourself while you're bleeding. You'd still fight. That you're the one with the courage. A couple of days later, the young man runs. He says, Captain, there's 20 enemy ships on the horizon. And the captain said, young man, bring me my brown pants. Courage. You got to have the courage to take some risks sometimes if you're going to do anything great.
Hey, everybody, we're hitting the final stretch here. Our team right now is going to put the link once again. You can get Dr. Dave Martin's new book, Mindset Matters. Change your mind, Change Your World. Beautiful book, hardcover book. The link is in the chat. If you're not an Avail member, you can get this for free, plus 6 months of the Avail Journal for free. We're going to talk about that in a moment. That's the Avail Journal. You can get that. If you're already on the Avail, you can get the other link where you can just purchase it off the website, theartofleadership.com. And by the way, no brainer, everybody. Invest in yourself. Upgrade to the Masterclass bundle. It's going to have the book. It's going to have the companion study guide workbook. Along with the book, it's going to have access to the amazing Masterclass videos that Dr. Dave Martin prepared. It's also going to include this recording as a bonus session on the Masterclass videos. You're going to love that. You're going to be so thankful that you got this. And you're going to be thankful that you shared this link with all your friends, all your pastor friends, all your leader friends, all your colleagues. Share it, share it, share it. Dr. Dave, we're coming to the final stretch. And I was just thinking, maybe it'd be cool if you could just kind of share from your heart. Why do you think this book, Mindset Matters, and this subject, and why do you think it's important for ministry leaders, pastors, and people of influence, in the community? Why do you think it's important for them to learn these principles?
Well, like the title says, because it matters, right? I think everything begins, the few inches between your ears, right in there. We always say you need to check up from the neck up to get rid of stinking thinking. And as we said in the beginning, most every person said, yep, there's a time when I've limited myself by my own thinking. See, with God, God's unlimited, right? Only thing that limits God is us, our expectations, our belief systems. And so I think it's so important that we continually work on that. Even the Bible tells us to renew our mind. Whatever you do, it says, whatever you do, get wisdom, right? Again, a mindset thing, a changing in the way that you look at things, cause you to think again. And so I just think everything begins right here, right? Everything begins with our thinking. And so I think it's so important that if we can control that. Joyce Meyer, you may have heard of her. She got a little ministry. She's trying to get going. She wrote a book years ago called Battlefield of the Mind. And that's immediately wherever battle we face happens right here. And if we can win it in our thinking and we can win it in our mind, we can win it in life. And so that's why mindset matters. That's why you need to get the information, get the book. I want to help you. And Avail, we want to help you be everything that God created you to be.
Yeah, that's so good. Remember, our team put the link in the chat. This book can be yours. Upgrade to the Masterclass bundle. Get the companion study guide workbook. Get access to the awesome Masterclass videos. It's going to be so worth it. As we close up, Dr. Dave, the Avail Journal, right? This Avail Journal, this Avail magazine, I think personally, it's the best Christian leadership magazine out there. As you can see, that's with you on the cover. What do you think about the Avail Journal?
Yeah, I think as a leader, any leader any leader in life, the articles, of course, the quality, as you know, from the Avail team, everything comes first class. God's a first class God. You can see that. But not just the quality of the artwork. And now that's beautiful. You can cut these out, put them in 8x10s, frames, put them in. So I made the centerfold on that. But seriously, the articles in there are created to help you lead in your business, help you lead in your home, help you lead in your church, help you lead at whatever level you are, whether you're the lead pastor, senior pastor, or whether you're the head of the ushers and the dream team. There's going to be things in there that are going to help you develop. See, I look at me as a corporation. I'm you incorporated. I'm the CEO of me, and you're the CEO of you. And Avail magazine is going to give you the information and the principles that you need to bring you Inc. To a Fortune 100 company and bring out the God-given potential that's in you. I think it's I agree with you, Pastor Bird. I think it's the best thing out there, the Christian arena for sure, and even beyond, the quality and the excellence in leadership that comes through Avail magazine. I'm just honored to be a little part of the team with you guys and get to put articles in there every now and then to encourage and help others. So thank you.
In this edition of it, there's an article by Dr. Dave Martin called Thoughts in Action, one of the many, many great articles. Hey, the Avail Journal is out there for all of you. If you're not on Avail yet, you can get it 6 months free with Dr. Dave Martin's book. I mean, that's amazing. You can do that. Always, you can share this as well, availjournal.com for the Avail deal. I'm so excited about this book, Dr. Dave. I think it's going to help a lot of people, a lot of leaders. And I'm so thankful because even this conversation has been, even just in this talk with you, I've thought about a few things for me and for the organization that I'm leading, for the church that I'm leading. And I'm really pumped. I'm excited about it. So to learn a little bit more, invest in me, in my growth, and ask the Lord to help me multiply this and steward well the talents and the abilities he's given me. What would be a final thought you want to leave us with today?
Well, you were saying steward well the gifts and talents that God's given you. And that's what this book's going to help you do. That's what Avail is going to help you do, is to take those talents and multiply them, not bury them. I'm just, that's a small mentality. That's a small mindset, the one that buried the talents. I'm just going to hold on to it, keep what I got. But the courage we talked about to take a risk, to go, hey, how can I make a greater investment in the kingdom? That's really what it's about. That's what we're trying to do as Christian leaders, whether it's in the business marketplace or whether it's in the church. We're trying to take as many people to heaven as we can with us. We're trying to grow the kingdom of God. And I think that this is all going to be a part of helping you to do just that.
So good, so good. Do you know a Dr. David W. Martin?
Yeah, that's my dad. I saw him just pop a comment up there.
You are doing a great job, son. Always proud of you. I love that.
But my parents have been they're my two greatest cheerleaders. They're just always encouraging me and pushing me and believing in me. And that's, part of the reason they tell me, your mind, you've always had a different way of thinking. And since I was a kid, and they've always encouraged that. And here we are today, able to do a lot of good, and they're always right there. And they've traveled the world helping people, still are. So it's good. I just saw him pop a quote up there a minute ago. So
good. Hey, I want to do this. Everybody who's on right now live, take a moment, type in one nugget you learned today in the chat. Just type it in. And while we do that, our team's going to put the link one more time for the new book, Mindset Matters. Change your mind, change your world. This is going to help you leaders. It's going to help you pastors. It's going to help you influencers. It's going to be a blessing in your life. The link is in the chat. You can get it. If you're not on Avail Plus, if you're not on Avail, you can get it for free, plus 6 months of the Avail Journal for free. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But I highly suggest upgrade to the Masterclass bundle with the companion study guide workbook, with the videos from Dr. Dave that are excellent. They're produced with great excellence. You're going to love it. It's going to be a blessing for your life. The link is in the chat. I'm so happy that everybody's been learning and growing and being challenged today. Dr. Dave, we are, on behalf of the Avail leadership team, on behalf of Dr. Sam Chand, Mark Tyne Van Tilburg, everybody, the whole Avail team that's here right now connected. We're so thankful for you, Dr. Dave. We're proud of you, and we just honor you, the work that you're doing for the kingdom and the work that you're doing to help people take steps. We're really proud of you.
Thank you. Well, I love being a part and helping people be what God created them to be. So that book's also going to help you develop your vision. It talks about what's the biggest problem. I think it's the first, second chapter. Biggest problem in the world is not having vision. And again, that starts with your mindset. So it's going to help you lay out a vision for your life, for your business, for your future. And so I love that. Find those keys in there and that you got today, put into practice. Get that car moving in the right direction.
So good. Thank you, Dr. Dave Martin, for sharing this time with us. What a privilege to be here live, connected with you. All people from all over the states, all over the world connected as well. We're so thankful for this opportunity.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Avail podcast with our guest, Dave Martin. Remember, you can connect with Dave by going to davemartin.org. For more leadership resources, check us out at theartofleadership.com. And make sure to claim your free annual subscription of the Avail Journal at availjournal.com. As always, I'm your Avail media host, Virgil Sierra. Muchas gracias. Thank you for connecting with us to learn the art of leadership here at the Avail podcast.